quarterfinals of the Euros for only the third time ever. Back in 2008, they went one step further. What can they do when they take on the Netherlands next time out? Because that's who they have up. The Dutch did look very, very impressive earlier on in their 3-0 win over Romania as well. We build this up about the two teams. It's the first time ever two teams have started in a knockout game in a European Championship game. It was Yildiz and Güler for Turkey, but it ended up being a 26-year-old defender and Sheikh Given, a goalkeeper, who were Turkey's saviours in the end.
I think I need a nice bath and a protein shake after that. Never mind the players. I mean, they're all going down with cramp, but you're right, Joanne. The save from Mert Günok at the end. Oh my goodness, I was jumping off the seat myself. It's an absolute world-class save, it really is. Do you know why? Because it's lashing down in rain, it picks up pace off the ground, he's gone full length, and to get it around the post, you know, Berggaard thought he had scored, but it's just a phenomenal. For me, it's, as a goalkeeper, it's like scoring a goal. It's the equivalent of scoring a goal. The emotions that Günok's gone through there, I'm sure now with his fans, and that, you know, he'll be a hero for forevermore in Turkey. Yeah, Demiral was brilliant at the back with all his headers and his 2 goals. Of course, he'll probably grab the headlines as much as anything, but that save from Mert Günok, wow, that was unbelievable.
Does the crowd, when it's like that, does it give you energy? Because these players, they must be absolutely shattered, and to just be, it's probably adrenaline getting them jumping up and down like that when they have all this noise around them in the stadium.
Fabulous. They've such a support as well in Germany. I know Austria do as well, but it did look like, it sounded like Turkey were getting the better of the support. And to see Demiral, I did the Turkey game earlier in the tournament, and the piece I had on Demiral, he didn't start in the game, had a shocker in the 6-1 defeat to Austria a few months ago, won't start for the tournament, and he's redeemed himself tonight. You know, important in the first goal, obviously scoring it, but
The emotions, man.
See how happy he is. The second goal was brilliant. The leap, we'll look at it all after the break, but the leap and the jump, and then that's fine doing that and scoring goals, but first and foremost being a strong centre half, and what he had to do with all the back four, the whole team. Tough after they scored the 2 goals. Austria played really well. You'd have to feel for them as well. They've brought a lot to the tournament. They've been a joy to watch. They just couldn't put the finishing touch on. I think Baumgartner, I don't know how many chances he had, and obviously the goalkeeper making that fabulous save from his header. But they didn't lie down, they kept going and going. But in fairness to Turkey, they just had enough to hold on.
It is tough on Austria, Diddy, isn't it? Given that, you can't fault their effort, can you? I mean, they went for it in the second half, did they not?
Yeah, they did, and they threw the kitchen sink at Turkey, but they found an answer. And Demiral at the back and Bardaki, they headed everything away, which came into the box, and when they needed the keeper in the last minute, he was there. So a brilliant effort. What a game of football. You know, you can't beat knockout football in 2 teams. Danza was absolutely knackered towards the end, but he kept going, counter-attacked, and there was an Austria couldn't get off the floor again. It was just end-to-end. It was just brilliant to watch. It was just an old school football game from the 30, 40, 50 years ago. It was just end-to-end. Referee was absolutely brilliant. He let the game flow, didn't whistle when he didn't need to. And obviously it's heartbreaking for them because they won a group with Netherlands and France. You win the group, come up against Turkey, a third-place team, and you know they fancied their chances today. And this is obviously an anticlimax because I don't think they thought a step further than they should have with the next round. But they just come up against a good team, and they got beat by 2 set pieces. And you've got to give credit to the Turks. The way they battled and the way they threw their bodies on the line in the second half was just absolutely brilliant. And we've just seen Demiral getting here behind him. That's Çalhanoğlu here in the red top. They missed the captain today. We shouldn't forget. The captain was missing. He's coming back for the next round.
He's not just a captain on the field.
No,
I mean, he leads by example
absolutely.
as well, doesn't he?
Plays for Inter, played a long time in Germany, plays for Inter now. He'll be coming back into the team. And Netherlands were brilliant today, but they'll fancy their chances going to the semi-final now.
We saw Baumgartner in absolute floods of tears there, barely able to be consoled. I don't think anybody would deny him the tears. Full-time whistle gone. Was he one of the standouts for Austria there in the second half?
He was. He'll feel he should have scored. He'll be really disappointment. He's a young player. He has a reason to cry tonight. We were on about tears last night's game. There's a player who's put everything into the game. The whole Austria team did. You know, they've got beat. But you couldn't fault them for excitement, for creating chances, for doing the right thing in the second half, for the manager making changes. Changes worked, they created, they just couldn't put the finishing touches on it. Arnautovic will probably be disappointed with himself. Baumgartner, you see him, he'll be disappointed with himself. They threw everything at it, but that little big things, little things, key moment in the last minute of the game.
Well, I think this is how cruel football can be, Jan, because he's played an outstanding tournament, and we've seen him in before the game where we had a piece about him, where he changed gears, set up Sabitzer goal against Netherlands. He scored. Today at half-time, Kevin said everything they did, he was involved. He was involved in pretty much everything they did in the second half. But he'll be remembered for this header, because people say
he hasn't done a lot wrong, did he?
No, he hasn't. But you
save,
know how he feels. He was probably one of the best, if not the best player in the tournament. But he'll be going home tonight thinking,
it's unbelievable.
I had a chance.
Could he have done anything better than that?
He probably could have headed it half a yard further to the left so he couldn't get there. But he probably thought he's only 5 yards out. He probably thinks, if I get this across, because this is what you learn as a kid, you head the ball across where the ball comes from. He probably thought, if I hit it into the ground, as Shay said, it gathers pace, he won't get there. And he just pulled off one of the greatest saves in any tournament. If you give him the header again, I'm pretty sure he probably scores 9 out of 10, because he knows he's got to place it a bit further to the left. He didn't do an awful lot of wrong. But, you know, he'll go home tonight and it'll haunt him for a while, I think.
I think with that save, and sometimes I know you're talking about Baumgartner, but the save is just such a big highlight for me of actually the tournament, because it's the Turkish team have gone through on the back of that, and you see, like, there'll be loads of young goalkeepers and professional goalkeepers, and you train every single day in the wet hose pipe, water the grass, and you do things, and you make saves that no one ever sees. And this Besiktas keeper tonight, Gunok, has made that save, and honest to God, that'll be probably a bit like the Paki Bonner save. There'll be pictures up in Turkey for the next 10 years now, because it's such a monumental save, and it's a brilliant save as well. And you see the way he's jumped up after. It's like, as I say, as a goalkeeper, he's celebrating like he scored a goal. It's just a brilliant save.
It was absolutely brilliant to watch. We're going to take you through all the craziness of that second half. In the second half, but they're the ones coming out smiling for all the right reasons. At one stage, when Demiral came up and got that second goal, it looked like they were perhaps going to have a slightly more comfortable second half than they ended up having. How good was this header?
It's just, he doesn't actually get a run on it. That's the big thing. You know, when the teams are doing zonal marking, Joanne, you say, well, the player gets a run and you can get a leap in. He doesn't. He's standing in there, and the leap he gets, he's only scored 2 international goals. So when you look at him tonight and see him heading the ball in his leap, you'd wonder how that is from set pieces. Delivery's fabulous from Guler. There's a clip there where you see Danzo shouting at Arnautovic just before it to get in front, and I don't know how that ended up. Arnautovic looks to be in a good position there. Like, when you see it lined up, the only criticism I would have of Austria after seeing the first corner, and it comes inside of them, and they're sort of nearly that way towards their goal with their head, trying to clear it, maybe taking a step back. After seeing that first corner, that first goal, learning from it, I don't think they'll learn from it. I think they could have been a yard or two deeper, so they can maybe get that yard attack on it. But they're both leaping, and Danzo's not small, and he still outdoes him by 1.5 foot or whatever. So sometimes you just have to accept a decent, really good delivery and someone who is able to jump and head it.
I've very rarely seen a spring like this, because when he heads it, I think it was the first replay, he's nearly at the height of the crossbar. So he'll be 6'3", so that's another 2 foot, and from standing still. I've rarely seen the leap he's had for the goal. Unbelievable.
Did say at halftime the reason why Austria were bringing on Mikhail Grigoric. Did he prove his worth then when he got that goal back? And they looked so well back in this game when he did.
Well, that's what Didi's chief analyst in this panel, so he called it at half-time, and yeah, they got back in it. It's mad. It's 3 set plays. You look at it here. Posh is the first one we light up with a flick on. The goal scorer around the back, Grigoric, and then it's Özcan who actually plays them all onside, the Turkish player. Instead of squeezing up the line with the rest of them, he actually goes back on the line, Joanne, and that's why he plays Grigoric on the back. I mean, the back zonal guy as well. It's kind of one of them things we talk about zonal at half-time, and they sort of pass on responsibility. No one actually picks up Grigoric at any stage in that. And, of course, they're right back in the game then.
You talked about how Baumgartner will be feeling it tonight because he had that chance right at the end. But surely the entire Austrian squad, given the amount of pressure they just piled on in that second half, and yet couldn't add to the total.
Yeah, combined with the fact that they conceded 2 set pieces, which is unlike them. And here, this is a brilliant chance straight after half time, and they tried everything. They shot the middle of the pitch, even though they get through here, and they let them have on the sides. And sometimes they were a bit open, even though they had everybody behind the Turks, but they still found ways to get to finish. And time and time again, the ball comes in and you think, oh, they're in trouble here. But somehow there was always a Turkish chest or a Turkish head to clear the ball. It was brilliant defending. Sometimes you have to accept it as well. I think Gregoric here, I thought the keeper was coming, I thought he scored there. But the keeper was pretty relaxed there. Again, doesn't bounce for them. And in these situations, wet pitch, you need a bit of luck as well. And obviously this is the last minute. And brilliant ball in by Pras. There's not an awful lot of pace on the ball, which obviously he had to. This is, I think, why he headed it into the ground to gather pace. A foot further to the left or the right of the goalkeeper, it's probably in. And I don't think they deserve to lose that game. First half, I think the Turks were the better side. Second half, it was won by traffic. Even though they had 1 or 2 chances to maybe score the third goal, they wasted these chances, the Turks. But they just bombarded them. It was attack after attack, and they just withstood. And it's a hard way to go out. And you can't really fault them. And you can't, I'm sure the manager says he's proud of the team. They couldn't have done any more. But on another day, they'd be in the quarterfinal now.
Sometimes it almost seems as if your name is written in and there's a story to be made. We talked about, I think it was you, Kevin, who referred to redemption for Merrick Demiral. You were talking about because he had played so poorly in that friendly early in March when Turkey were beaten 6-1 by Austria. Yeah. But he also, in the last European Championships, made some unwanted history. This is it. The opening game against Italy, he became the first and so far only person to open the scoring at the European Championships for the opposition team. So this is him back in 2021 against Italy. They went on to lose 3-0, but Demiral was the villain back then on the opening night, making that little bit of history. He also had that dreadful game in March. It just kind of adds to the fairy tale of
and
this.
He didn't start the first game of the tournament, as I said, on the back of his performance against Austria the last time. He's obviously a good player. Juventus paid 20-odd million for him only a few years ago. He ended up going on loan to Atalanta, and he's now in the Saudi League. But he made up for tonight, as you said, both in the offensive box, but back in his own box where he earns his bread and butter. You see him afterwards and how people, his teammates around him and all. And maybe it was just for scoring the goals, but probably because they know what he's gone through over the last few years, and he got a lot of stick at home for that. So how football and how life can change.
You actually, when you were watching, was it his second goal this evening, and you were looking at it more from a defensive point of view? And what did you say about Giovanni Trapattoni?
Oh yeah, and it's Turkey have got an Italian manager. Shea was saying he would go nuts, completely nuts at in-swinging corners and that area where both of those goals came from. The first goal, the flick on, actually the 3 goals for both teams. He would spend. We didn't spend a whole lot of time on some things, but we spent an awful lot of time on set pieces. And that area to him, I remember I was the one defending that area, and I was the one getting there, Shea shouting in my ear, and he would grab me and move me an inch here, there, ever, and tell us about.
Trapattoni lost the cup final or something on a
Champions League final or something. He used to tell
very
us.
Very similar to the winning goal today, and literally we would go through it regimental, and literally he'd be moving Dollar like I'm talking 6 inches to the right or 6 inches back, and then there'd be another person next to him. Like, that's how focused he was and not conceding from that area. You get scarred in life sometimes from conceding goals or making mistakes as a team, and I think that was his sort of, and I suppose the Austrian players tonight and Rangnick will be thinking, 2 very similar goals we conceded. It's a sad way to go out, really.
It's funny how you say it leaves you scarred. It's the first thing that came out of your mouths when you watch that. So
never
it's
forget, do you?
Yeah.
You sometimes remember the bad things in your footballing career more than the good things, and again, the Austrians will think, the Turks didn't open us up, they didn't play us off the park. you know, it was 2 dead ball deliveries and we're out.
I think the attention to detail is what wins you games. And obviously the national team, you only got limited time, and I had him for 3 years in Munich. And when he first come, we've done, after about 3 days, we went in the pre-season camp and we did throw-ins for about 2 hours. And the lad said, what the heck is this, Gaffer? You know, and he said, no, you'll need it. And then after you do it again and again, and after that you see other teams who don't do it. And he always said, little situations win and lose you games. And I think it was the best example today, because we talk about the brilliance of the Marlin goal before, or the brilliance of the, you know, we picked the best goal before the game. But that doesn't win you games or tournaments. It's a corner, it's a throw-in, it's little things. And obviously he was the master of it, because he was scarred. He mentioned that story as well, that he lost a big game with a small situation. And this is why he was so adamant and reluctant to really work on these things for hours and hours and hours. It was annoying. But obviously after a while you had it in the back of the mind and you did it automatically, because you didn't even think about it anymore.
It's like every set play was danger, red lights, not panic stations, but everyone has to be alive. You know, come alive, not, you see some players or some teams switching off, oh, we've got to rest now, but it's actually, you know, alarm bells going off, you should be saying in your head when it's a corner, when it's a wide free kick, everyone needs to do their job.
And you can't defend every corner, but they didn't get beat by a wonder strike today or a piece of brilliance. They got beat by a corner that's just been lifted into the front post or the near post, and the geezer flicking it on, or not flicking it on for the first one. And this is a disappointing thing, because they'll be on holiday in 3 days' time. They're probably reluctant to watch the quarter-final between Netherlands and Turkey, but they'll be thinking we should be there now. If we defended it better, you can't defend everything. But I think they should have made more of an effort, and for a team as physically strong, as organised as Austria, I think it's very disappointing to concede the 2 goals the way they did.
Well, they did concede them, and they didn't manage to get another for themselves either. So despite being on the supposedly kinder side of the draw, Austria go out. It is Turkey who go on. They're going to be playing the Netherlands.